Welcome to the glaring omission in this course, which is the practical field component for environmental science. The ways that we get around that are doing virtual versions of those activities, and this particular task is a virtual field trip. Now, this virtual field trip has a report which you will fill out as part of it, but obviously please make sure that you stay with the group. Don't stray away from your class colleagues, and make sure that you're working responsibly and in a team. If you do get lost, obviously set up your emergency flare when you need it. So in terms of what you're actually doing for this task, the key skills that we're covering, we're hitting off a lot of these criterion within the course, and we're also looking at some key knowledge as well. So we're looking at fire cycle and regeneration of forest types, and also looking at different types of rainforest, which is in the course document, and also how the abiotic factors of those can influence the different forest types that we see. So in terms of what we're doing, it does hit off a lot of these points. The sample site that we're looking at, this is what you'll be using to do your sampling. This is an interactive called a ThingLink. What this is a series of sampling sites in the foothills of Kunyanya, which is also known as Mount Wellington. We've got 3 separate sites here, and they vary from south to west Hobart, but obviously we are in Tasmania. If you click on this yellow tab down here, you'll be able to see the whereabouts we are in relation to Greater Tasmania. So we're down in the southern part of it. They're all pretty close together, about less than 10 k's away from each other. We've got 3 sites. Site 1 and Site 2 are both dry eucalypt forests or dry sclerophyll forests, which we'll talk about, and Site 3 is a wet eucalypt forest. What we're looking at in terms of these sites is how fire, or the relationship of fire and the characteristics of fire in these 3 separate sites. And the way that we're going to be measuring that is looking at the amount of char in those sites. So if we go to dry eucalypt forest, it's going to take us to our site here. Now if I want to go back to the overall map, I click back, or I can click home, and you'll see that I'm using a quadrat based sampling. This is obviously a random sampling site. If I click on this little eye, it's going to take me to some drone footage of this site, which will show us the canopy and from the ground upwards what it looks like. And you can see here there has been a relatively recent fire, because I can see a whole heap of char or charcoal. And if we keep going up, we can look up into the canopy. So that gives us an idea of what kind of site we're looking at. In each site, if I go to quadrat 1, you'll see that I've got a quadrat here with a 360 camera, and that 360 camera will come up with a whole heap of different points. Our pink tape shows north on our site, and our blue tape shows south. And our radius of each quadrat is 3 meters, so we'll need to know that to be able to calculate overall what the site, what the average looks like. And this like black marking here, this is evidence of char, and the following videos will show you how to actually measure that. I feature in every single one of these, so there's a bit of a Where's Rowan kind of scenario there. If we go back, in terms of actually measuring your data, if you click up here, there's a little book. This is your field booklet, and at each site you need to basically record the number of trees and the percentage of char as a decimal, and we'll get through that. You also have to make some notes on the vegetation, the average density of trees, and also figure out whether it's a random, systematic, or stratified. Now, once you put this data in, it will come up automatically and actually generate the calculations automatically. Once you've done all 3 sites, you need to download this data and save it, generate the PDF, and that will form part of your report. So your report is in OneNote under your assessment tab, and there's an introduction here. There is some common words used in task exam questions which we're going to use in this particular report. Make sure you're reading all the instructions. There are elements of each kind of criterion here. So you'll notice in 1.5 there is some stuff about Harvard referencing. Please make sure that you actually complete the referencing as needed. The reference to coursework is the pre-work that we talk about in this course, and also read these documents as well. So it is a significant piece of work here. You've got your method. Please make sure that you're filling in all the components. You can fill this in OneNote, or you can fill it in as a Word document. It's up to you. And in terms of how many words, I've got a guide here as well. So if you're unsure about predict, say, go back to here and have a look to see if we can find the word predict, which means give an expected result. Any questions, please see your group leader, which is me. I'm available by inbox, emergency flare, or email.